Hey guys, Dr. Heidi Albete here, naturopathic doctor, founder of Bring Us Back to Nature, and you guys are joining me for another one of my live videos. And today is a little bit different. I am live out camping in Grand Teton National Park and right next to Yellowstone in beautiful Wyoming. And today I thought it would be fitting to talk about our nervous system, because one of the reasons that I go camping with my family is to calm down. And when we say calm down, we're talking about our nervous system calming down. So let me give you a little bit of background on what the nervous system is, the branches of it, and then how we can control it and how we can use our nervous system in order to heal our body. Okay, let's get started. So we have two major branches of the nervous system, or two major branches of the autonomic nervous system. So autonomic means automatic, right? We think about it as if it just happens naturally. So like the beating of your heart. We don't really think about our heart beating, but it's happening, right? Every moment of every single day, as long as you're alive. Same thing with breathing, a lot of times we don't think about our breath, but yet our breath is definitely very much there. It's very much, going on all the time. So that's the autonomic nervous system. It also controls the gut, the organs of elimination, your digestive tract, and things like that. So the autonomic nervous system has two branches, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. So a lot of people know these as fight and flight. That's our sympathetic nervous system. That is the one that activates when you're running from a bear, right? Or running after something, right? When you're in a lot of stress, quote unquote stress, your sympathetic nervous system is going to activate. Now, rest and digest is the parasympathetic nervous system. This is the part of the nervous system that controls healing, digestion, breathing, right? Slowing your heart rate. So the sympathetic nervous system, when you're running from a bear, your heart rate's going to increase. Your eyes are going to dilate so that you can see more clearly. Your blood is not going to go to your gut. It's not going to go to your reproductive organs. It's only going to be in the places that you need to run from a bear. So muscles, like I said, rapid heartbeat, breathing, that kind of stuff. Parasympathetic is going to activate when we're at rest, when we're calming down. So that is going to help us digest our food. It's there when we need it for reproductive reasons, but it's also the part of the nervous system that helps us heal. And so in 2021, we don't run from many bears. Even being in Yellowstone for the past week, we didn't see any bears. And yes, we prepared to see a bear. We were, a little bit on edge when we were at our campsite looking for the bear, waiting for him to come. And yeah, we didn't see any. So the amount of bears that we run into, or saber-toothed tigers that we run into in our daily life, is pretty rare. But we always have something causing our sympathetic nervous system to come up, whether it's that boss, that's telling you what to do, or trying to get your deadlines, or that driver in the car next to you, or you're worrying about your kids or worrying about your pets or something like that. It's increasing our sympathetic nervous system. Now in 2021, that bear doesn't leave, right? That job doesn't go away. Our kids are always there, causing us a reason to worry. And so it's hard for us to turn off that fight and flight. And so we're kind of stuck in that point for a long time. Back 1,000 years ago, when our bodies were first created or evolved, depending on where your beliefs are, we were created to live in nature, just like I am here today, right? And so we run from a bear, right? We get out of danger's way, and then we can come back to life and, go about our daily business. But in 2021, when that stressor doesn't leave, there's a lot more issues that can happen. This is why heart disease is so rampant today. Well, there's several reasons, but one of the reasons is because we're not turning off our thumper, right? Our sympathetic nervous system is always on overdrive. And so that's causing our heart to beat overtime. It's causing our lungs to breathe more. And so even when you're sleeping, you're dreaming about stuff, or that those thoughts are going through your head. A lot of people's insomnia is because they can't turn off their mind, and they can't turn off this stress and these thoughts about them. And so, when we're in these situations, it's hard to rest and digest. But if you want to heal, we need to figure out a way that we can calm our nervous system down. Figure out a way that we can turn off that sympathetic overdrive and then go back into that rest and digest. 1,000 years ago, we would run away from the bear, or we'd climb a tree and it'd be gone, right? But today we're a little more stuck in those ways. And so it takes a little bit more for us to figure out how to, rest. So for those people who are signed on right now, do you have any ideas of how you guys rest and digest, or how to turn off that sympathetic nervous system and go back into that parasympathetic? While you're thinking about that or typing your answers, let me give you some ideas of what we do. So, one of the things that I always advocate to my patients is take some time off. And even if that doesn't mean that you can, take a vacation day, when you're done with work, be done with work, right? Go home to your family, do something where you can disconnect. Now, don't turn on the news, right? The news is definitely not going to put you in that parasympathetic space, especially since, the news is really meant to excite you and get, whether it's a good thing or a fear thing, it's meant to kind of get you interested to keep watching. So make sure that the news is off when you go home. One thing that I always say, which is on my basic treatment guidelines, is laugh, have fun. As soon as you start having fun, that amps up that parasympathetic rest and digest nervous system, and it calms down all of those stressors that you had before. So laugh, make it fun, make your life a little bit fun. Now, some people have a hard time doing that too. A lot of us are in, a lot of tough situations these days with COVID and the pandemic ending. And so one of the things I'll tell people is fake it if you have to. So go on YouTube and find some funny cat video or something so that you can kind of, make yourself happy, right? There's always something that we can find to laugh about. Take a walk around your block. That's another thing you can do, is get out into nature. So again, we were programmed as humans to survive in this type of environment. And so when we go back into that type of environment, we relax a little bit more and our rest and digest kicks in too. There's also been studies showing that the fluorescent lights that a lot of us have in our houses, as well as our workspaces, they actually increase cortisol. So does the blue light that you get from the phones and the computer. They're increasing cortisol. And cortisol is that sympathetic nervous system hormone. So it's the hormone that gets you up, that gets you running from that bear. And so, if you're trying to relax at night, but you have your TV on, you're creating those hormones that want you to go and run. When in reality, we want to be creating those hormones that are going to get us to rest and digest and calm down. And so instead of turning on the news or turning on, that show that you're really wanting to watch, pick up a book. Picking up a book is a great way to dive into some stories, or a funny book or something like that, to again just lighten the mood, pull you out of that bear that you're running from, that's your boss or your kids or your spouse, right? And then get you back into that parasympathetic rest and digest mode. The other way is to do some grounding. So again, if you just went outside, went for a walk, sat in your backyard, doing some deep breathing, we'll talk about that in a second. Getting that grounding is we're actually increasing the ion exchange from the earth into our body. And so when we're sitting at the desk with those fluorescent lights on us all day, that is a lot of positive ions. And so think of positive ions as the bad ions. Negative ions are the good ions. And so those positive ions that you're surrounded by all day is making your nervous system a little more increased. And so by grounding and sitting in the ground or putting your feet into a stream or something like that where you're on a rock, Anywhere that your body is connecting to the ground, that is increasing that parasympathetic nervous system. It's getting those positive ions to drain out of you, bringing those negative ions from the core of the earth up into your body, and then that in itself is going to change the state of your really hyped up nervous system. So we have trying to come home and actually be home, not working, while you're home, going for a walk. So exercise is another way. So now when we're running from a bear, we are in that sympathetic nervous system. So a lot of people come to me with weight loss issues or with weight gain issues, trying to lose weight. And they'll tell me, okay, Dr. Heidi, so I'm at work all day, I wake up and I have to attend to my kids, I have to feed them, and then I'm at work all day, and then I come home and I exercise at the gym, and I'm doing this 7 days a week. Why aren't I losing weight? I have this awesome diet, I have this great exercise routine. What's going on? And the biggest issue that I have found in my patient population is the reason they're not losing weight is because they're stressed all the time. And so when you're working all day, attending to your kids, and then you go to the gym and start running from that bear, literally on the treadmill, how are we supposed to rest and digest, right? How is our nervous system supposed to say like, oh, I'm in an okay place? The other thing that the sympathetic nervous system does, that fight or flight, is it makes you store food, because it's like, okay, we're running from a bear. I don't know when I'm going to get food again, so I might as well store everything that I'm eating. So if you're eating in the car or eating, after a long day of work and you're still thinking about that day of work, you're not going to be assimilating that food very well. You're not going to be digesting it very well. And your body is just going to say, let's store it. So if you're looking for weight loss, definitely find ways that you can relax your mind and relax your body. So another thing that we can do here is deep breathing. So breathing is a way, like I said, it's your autonomic nervous system. It's something that we do all the time and we don't think about it. Well, if we were to start thinking about breathing every now and again, we could actually turn that sympathetic nervous system into our parasympathetic. And so the way that we do this, I have a handout that I give my patients called 100 Conscious Breaths. And my goal for you is to 100 times a day, make your breath conscious. So how many breaths are we taking throughout the day? Like hundreds, right? Thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, quadrillions, right? We're taking tons and tons of breaths a day. So if you can make 100 of those breaths conscious and just think about what you're doing, inhale through your nose. Let that breath fill up your belly. Let it expand your abdomen. It pulls on that vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is cranial nerve 10. It starts in your brain and it innervates all of your organs of elimination, all of your digestion organs. It's really like the mother of the parasympathetic nervous system. And it's connected to the diaphragm. So if we do some deep breathing and your diaphragm can expand and contract, it's going to pull on that vagus nerve and really help everything to calm down, help you to get out of that stress response and into that rest and digest response. So the best way to do deep breathing, I always teach abdominal belly breathing. There's a bunch of different ways to think about it, but you guys can practice it right now at home. So go ahead and take your hand, place it on your chest, and place your other hand on your belly. Now, the easiest way to do this is if you're laying down, just because gravity, doesn't take a role into here too. So with your hand in these positions, start taking some inhales. As you inhale, you want the hand on your belly to rise. You don't want this hand up here to rise. You just want the hand on the belly to rise. And then you exhale and that falls, because what we're doing, inhale, lungs should expand. So everything should expand when you inhale. And as you exhale, everything should contract. As far as your lungs, your diaphragm, and the space within your thoracic cavity, which is your chest area. So inhale, expand that diaphragm, whether you're bringing it out, expanding everything, and then exhale, contract it all down. Now, especially women living in, our modern world, we were always taught, stand up straight, shoulders back, suck that stomach in, right? And so we kind of went around living life with that stomach sucked in and not doing this good abdominal breathing. And so there's a few things that happen when you don't do abdominal breathing. The first one is that you're not getting good oxygen exchange. So most of the blood, if you think about gravity, most of the blood in your lungs is going to fall down to these lower lobes of your lungs. And the upper lobes of the lungs are going to be less blood and therefore less oxygen exchange. So if you're breathing just from the chest up here, you're not getting that good blood flow. And so we really want to, send the breath down, send it into all parts of the lungs. And that way we can really get some good oxygen exchange there. The other thing that it can do is by breathing shallow, it's going to increase your heart rate more because your heart has to work harder to get that blood circulating through that oxygen. And so instead of breathing deeply and your heart rate falls, you start breathing deeply, or you start breathing shallow and your heart rate increases, which again increases that sympathetic nervous system that we're trying to calm down. So getting some good abdominal breathing. If you look back in some of my videos, I do have some videos on breathing that you can check out to kind of help you a little bit. It also, deep abdominal breathing helps with heart rate variability. So heart rate variability, I could do a whole talk just on this. What heart rate variability is it's the ability for your heart to expand and then to come back to normal. So we like to think of it as like a rubber band. So if you were to take a rubber band and stretch it and then bring it back, it contracts back and, it's not stretched all the way. Well, that's the same thing that happens with the heart, is we want to be able to stretch it and then have it come back and still, be able to function as a rubber band. So people whose heart rate variability is low means that they're not able to do that same kind of gas exchange. They're not able to run from a bear and then come back and sit on the couch and then go run and then come back, right? They're either always in that running mode or they're always in that resting mode. And again, in our lifestyle, it's not often that we see people just in that parasympathetic overload. So, some of the ways that you can practice getting your heart rate variability better and stronger is by doing this abdominal breathing. So one of the tips that they talk about is doing a box type breathing. So, when I say breathe with to the count of 4, check your pulse. So you can find your pulse right on the thumb side, so the radial side of your forearm. 2 fingers usually does it, and pretty light pressure. You don't want to push all the way in, you won't be able to feel it, but you also don't want to hover over it. You shouldn't feel it then either. But so just a nice stable pressure on there, and find your heartbeat. Okay, so I've got mine, and then so you're going to increase to 4 counts of the heartbeat. And then you're going to hold for 4 counts of your heartbeat. And then you exhale for 4 counts of the heartbeat. And then you hold your breath out for 4 counts of that heartbeat. And then inhale for 4 and just continue that. So box breathing. Now, if 4 is too hard for you, do, 2 counts. So inhale for 2, hold for 2, exhale for 2, hold for 2. If 4 is not hard enough, increase it to 6 or 8. And that's kind of a good way to practice. If you look up YouTube videos, the one that I like the best is the ball. So, it'll say, okay, inhale and the ball will get bigger, and then hold, and then exhale and the ball gets smaller, right? Just like your thoracic cavity is doing. Inhale, we fill it up, hold, and exhale, we bring it back down. So those are some practices that you can do. And, again, while you get home from work, these are the things that you can start doing in order to get your heart rate back down, get your nervous system back into the right place, and then get that weight loss, going, get that healing going, and all of those type of things. Anything that you think about, like these chronic diseases that we have, like heart disease, asthma, things like that really are working, or even IBS, like stomach stuff can happen from us having too much sympathetic nervous system. Because again, when we are running from a bear, our blood is not going through our digestive tract. So we're really not digesting our food as well. And so then, what does that lead to? Constipation, diarrhea, both of those things can come under too much stress. And so that's a big thing to think about. If any of you guys listening or know anybody listening that are suffering from any of these conditions, let them check out this video, because even these simple things are enough that just change the nervous system. And so if we can change the nervous system, we can really change the outcome of our health. So in my practice, today I really want to talk about the nervous system. And as I'm thinking about the things to talk about, I'm like, oh my gosh, the nervous system is everything. So let's break it down a little bit to we have our central nervous system, which is our brain and our spinal cord. Sorry, it's getting a little windy over here, so I got to hold my camera. So we have our central nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord. And then our peripheral nervous system, which is out to our extremities, and everything else is the peripheral nervous system. So in the central nervous system, which is our brain and the spinal cord, that is also, the spinal cord is like, the queen bee of the nervous system. And off of the spinal cord, we have all these branching nerves. And so all of those branching nerves are going out into our fingers and our toes, and into our gut and all of that kind of things. So in my practice, when I treat people, whether it's a physical thing or a mental, emotional, or chemical thing, for those of you who have been watching my video, you know how I talk about the triangle all the time, right? We have the structural, the chemical, and then the energetic. And so regardless of what I'm treating for people, I'm looking at the nervous system. I do a lot of muscle testing. It's not a strength test, right? It's not a test to see, who can hold a muscle the strongest, who's going to the gym more, right? It's strictly a nervous system test. Is your nervous system talking to this muscle? And then if I change something, if you taste, a food or a supplement, or if you think of some thought, right? Is that changing my muscle test? Is that changing your nervous system? So I do this all the time. I'll get somebody on my table who I'm trying to muscle test, and it's just like not really letting me in. And so I have to talk to its nervous system and say, why are you hypertonic? Why are you stuck in this fight and flight? And how can we change that? And so a lot of times it's, an adjustment somewhere. I need to adjust their neck or, their back. And again, you can look at the video from last week. I talked about the way that I adjust very gently with your breath. So nothing is scaring the nervous system here either. Because sometimes those snap, crackle, and pop adjustments that a chiropractor will do, again, it scares the nervous system. How many people do you know that have gone to the chiropractor and you can hear that adjustment when they adjust your neck, and it's like, that alone scares me, right? So we're not doing those kind of adjustments here. Very gentle with your breath, and to tell your nervous system, hey, just calm down a little bit, right? If you have a vertebrae that's out of place, your nervous system is gonna be like, hey, fix this. I can't do anything until you fix this vertebrae. So, that's something that I'll see. But it's not always a structural thing, right? Sometimes I can't get through to them. They're in that high sympathetic drive, and it's like, okay, it's something emotional. What are you thinking about? What did you bring into this appointment? What kind of stressors are going on? And then we have to go down that emotional pathway. And a lot of times it's like, oh, this guy, cut me off on the highway and blah, blah, blah. Or like, oh, I just can't stop thinking about my boss made me do this thing, or my coworker, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, we need to get that off the surface before your body will even let me as your doctor in to heal you. And so getting that nervous system back online is really, really important. I also see it too with people, I do the muscle testing and they're really trying hard. They're like, no, I will not let this be weak. And it's like, okay, we need to calm the nervous system, right? Like what kind of thing is going on in here that's making you sympathetic? Now let's talk about chemical for just a second. The other thing I notice is the chemical issue, like you're eating something that you're sensitive to. That's going to cause your nervous system to be sympathetic. It's going to cause that drive to be super high. Or coffee, right? Caffeine, something like that, where you drink it, you feel it, like you feel that tingling in your nervous system. And so those are the things that we're trying, that I can just kind of test for. The other thing, when people bring in supplements that don't work well for their body, they take the supplement and their body goes on overdrive and it's just sympathetic all the time. Now it may be a good supplement, like you may read all about it and it's like, oh yeah, I need to take St. John's wort because it's going to help my mood and help me calm down. But if something's either not right with that supplement you're taking or the company that produced it, again, it's going to do something different in your system. So it's always good to get, that muscle testing in there to see, like, what should I be taking? What should I be eating? But more importantly, what should I not be eating and not be taking? What kind of thoughts can I clear out of this, instead of having those thoughts that are ramping you up all the time? So, how did I get onto that topic? We were talking about the nervous system and how it's just connected to everything, and it's really important for us to know how to regulate it and know how to really calm it down. I don't think I need to tell anybody how to increase their nervous system, their sympathetic drive. It's like, uh, go do public speaking. That increases your sympathetic drive for sure, right? Extreme sports, people like that who like the adrenaline, like that's where they're getting it from. Adrenaline is connected to this sympathetic nervous system. So ways that we can calm it down, again, we talked about the deep breathing, we talked about going for a walk, exercise, gentle exercise. The best thing for your nervous system, for your adrenal glands, is routine. So having the same routine every day so that your nervous system knows, oh yeah, I come home from work and I go, for a walk, or I do some deep breathing or things like that. I've also, a lot of us are parents and we go home to screaming kids, right? So I'll often tell my parents, before you go to pick them up from daycare or before you go to step into that house again, like take some time in your car. Take 5 minutes for yourself so that you can really get that nervous system back in line. You're not all stressed, running into a stressful household that's just going to make you stressed out all day. You're like waiting for them to go to sleep so that you can have your time, to drink that cocktail or something so that you can kind of mellow out. It's like, no, take that time for yourself. What's the saying, right? You can't pour into from an empty cup. I'm not saying that right, but yeah, if your cup isn't empty, how are you supposed to pour into your family's cup, right? So really make sure that you're taking the time for yourself. And for me and my family, it's being out here in nature and, getting away from the hustle and the bustle of the city and just being able to sink my feet into the ground, spend some time in the river and, really get to detach here. Okay, let's see what else I want to talk about today. So, breathing, that's a big one. Let's see what else. Road rage is a thing. So a lot of people, come in to the office after, being on the highway. My office happens to be off of a highway that's windy and curvy and goes up into the mountains. And so people coming in off of that, I'll have them take a moment, take some time on the table before we get started and just do some breathing. I'll put on a meditation. Solfeggio frequencies, which I've talked about, that's in my basic treatment guidelines as well. So these are frequencies of the universe. And so like here behind me, look at these aspens, how beautiful they are. So this frequency of the aspen leaf just blowing through the wind. I wonder if you guys can hear it. I wonder if you can hear the river down here too. But those noises, those frequencies, they really just set our nervous system up to be calm and collective. And so listening to some of those before you walk into the house, or, pick your kids up from school or daycare or the babysitter and, bring them home and play those solfeggio frequencies for them too, because goodness, if you watching this, are over the age of 13 or whatever it has to be on Facebook, imagine what your kids are going through. If you're that stressed out, this was a crazy year for all of us, and especially the kids who are in school. And not even to mention COVID and staying home and online learning, but the atmosphere for kids these days is a lot different than, when I grew up in the 90s, right? Like there's a lot more out there. A lot of parents don't even want their kids riding their bike in the street anymore because they're afraid of kidnapping and things like that. Whereas, we used to get told, oh yeah, stay out until the street lights come on, right? So everything about our world is different now. And these kids that are growing up in it, like, as parents, we need to show the kids too how to relax. And these kids are we are mirrors to them. And as you have your 1-year-old and 2-year-old who's starting to talk back to you and they mimic everything you say. Well, your 9 and 10-year-olds do as well. And so if you can show them good habits by having a routine, having that detach and de-stress, come home, and instead of sitting and watching the news at night, sit and read a book or tell stories or talk about your day, even getting your kids into meditation. So that's another thing I want to talk about is meditation. So a lot of people think of meditation as like, home, closing your eyes and oming and being present with yourself. But meditation is so much more than that. Meditation is just getting your mind clear. being present with yourself, being present with the atmosphere around you, that is meditation. So one of my favorite meditations is snowboarding. Another one of my favorite meditations is bike riding. And it's not like I'm sitting here being quiet, right? I'm sitting here being present. I'm looking at everything around me. My senses are activating. When your senses are activating, think about the gazelle that's eating on the prairie, in the safari, right? All of our senses are going off. Our sense of smell, our sense of taste, our sense of hearing, our sense of touch, our sense of sight, which is huge. All of those senses are very present. And then as soon as the bear comes to start chasing them, boom, all of that turns off. We're one-tracked mind. We dilate our pupils so that we can see where we're going. And all the other senses turn off because we have a one-track mind. Well, that's what we're doing every day when we are, at work, thinking about the boss, thinking about all these people, right? Is that we have this one-track mind and that's all we're focused on. And so I would love it if you all, everybody who's watching today, take some time to just be present. Just put your feet on the ground, take some breaths, like breathe in this beautiful country, this beautiful life that we live. And to all of you out there who are suffering, all of you who have, something mental, emotional that's going on, maybe something physical that's ailing you, I want you also to be present and just think about all the good that has come to you in your life. One of my patients actually does a gratitude every week. Or every day she writes on her Facebook all the things that she's grateful for. And I think that that's just such a great practice to have, because even when we're suffering, even in the midst of it all, there are things to be grateful for. Your breath is going into your body. Your heart is beating for you, right? Like, this earth that we're living in is just so magnificent and beautiful. I wish you guys could see this beautiful mountain range of the Grand Tetons that I'm looking at here. It's just, it's magnificent. And so just be present in that, don't think about tomorrow. Don't think about yesterday. Be present. That's why it's called the present, right? It's a gift. So really just, be present in today. And above all else, all the things I talked about in the last half hour or so, the most important one is to be present. Just be present where you're at and your nervous system will calm down. Even in pain, the pain is in the future. You thinking about, I know I'm going to be in pain. The pain is in the past. You knowing, oh, when I did that, I was in pain. But here in this present moment, we don't feel pain, right? We just feel the air, we feel our breath, we feel the sun on our skin. And we really are able to relax, rest, digest, heal. And if you want to heal, you're going to want to be in that parasympathetic nervous system. So that's my story for today, is really, dive into that parasympathetic nervous system. Get in touch with your vagus nerve, right? The one from your brain that goes all the way into all of these internal organs, so that your autonomic nervous system can just relax. And with that, I hope that you guys have an amazing week. I'm really, really excited how many people have joined me today and are watching from home. And I really hope that you guys will share this with your friends. I hope you learned something today. I love doing this for you, but really I'm doing it so that you learn more. And if there's something that you guys are interested in learning about, let me know and I'll do a video on it. I could go on and on and on about all kinds of stuff. So, let me know what you're interested in. And, these videos are for you, for education. Of course, if you guys want to sign up with me, let me know. I'll give you a discount because you came to this today. But more than that, I'm really just trying to get the word out and get everybody to live a healthier life, because we are bombarded with fear right now. And if I could be a 30-minute gleam in your week that gives you hope, that's what I want to be. Because the world is beautiful. It is such a beautiful place that we're living in. And if you watch the news, it's going to scare you into never leaving your door. But let me tell you what, look around me, right? I'm in this beautiful place and it's not far from your door either. So get out there, enjoy it, get yourself back into nature. And that is what's going to heal you more than anything. Shoot me a text, personal message, whatever you want to do if you have questions, and then let me know what you guys want to hear for next week. And I will see you back in Conifer in a week from today. I hope you guys are doing so well. Thanks so much, Gloria. I'm so glad you could make it here too. And yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Love you all. See you later.